All right, let's get right into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most dangerous and honestly most misunderstood strategies in all of human interaction. Welcome to the anatomy of the puppet master.
Look, I'm just going to come right out and say it, because this is the foundation for everything we're about to uncover. You've been told a story your whole life about how the world works, and that story, it's a lie. You know this story. You've heard it a million times, right? If you just work hard, tell the truth, treat people with kindness, you'll be rewarded. That the good guys finish first. That merit wins. Yeah, that's a fairy tale. I'm sorry to say it, but it is. See, in the real world, the people who often get to the very top, they understand something completely different. They understand the cold calculus of power. For them, human emotions aren't feelings, they're levers to be pulled. And trust? Trust isn't a bond, it's a currency to be spent. And that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, the puppet master's game. Because for a very specific type of person, life isn't about cooperation. It's a giant game of social chess, and the only prize is power. And this is the part you really need to get. These people, these grandmasters of the social chessboard, they have a playbook. And if you don't know the rules they're playing by, you're not even in the game. You're just a pawn, being moved around the board exactly where they want you to go. So what's the name for this kind of person? Well, psychology actually has a term for them. Let's dig into the anatomy of this social predator, the Machiavellian. Yeah, in psychology, they call this Machiavellianism, and it's the first and honestly maybe the most dangerous pillar of what's known as the dark triad. And why is it so dangerous? Because it's so rational. This isn't about causing random chaos. Oh no, this is a cold, calculated strategy to exploit our social rules, our trust, for their personal gain. And they do it without a shred of guilt. The only thing they feel is the thrill of the win. But here's the thing. This isn't about being evil just for the sake of it. No, this is a cold, calculated strategy that's actually rooted in game theory. Humanity basically survived because of something called reciprocal altruism. The simple idea that, hey, I'll help you, you'll help me, and we both do better. But evolution always creates a countermove. And in this case, it created the cheater. The strategy that takes your help today, promises to help you tomorrow, but never does. It exploits the entire system of trust for a huge personal payoff. Okay, so to really understand this, to see it in action in its absolute purest form, we need to look at a true master of the craft. So let's rewind the clock and take a look at a masterclass in deception. And our case study, oh, it's a good one, Cesare Borgia. This is the guy who literally inspired Machiavelli's famous book, The Prince. Son of a pope, a brilliant general, and without a doubt, the most feared man in all of Renaissance Italy. He didn't just play the game, he wrote the rulebook. So get this, picture it, 1502, the Senigallia trap. Borgia's own generals, the guys he trusts, they betray him. They beat his army. He is completely cornered, totally outnumbered. It looks like it's all over for him. But instead of fighting, he does the last thing anyone expects. He completely surrenders. He plays the victim, invites them all to a peace banquet to celebrate, and then, when their guard is completely down, the trap is sprung. So, how did he pull it off? It was just a 3-step psychological masterstroke. It's brilliant, really. First, he apologizes. He tells them they were right all along, that he was too ambitious, playing directly to their egos. Second, he offers them even more money, more territory, using their own greed as the bait. And third, the masterstroke. He makes himself look totally vulnerable, even sending his own loyal soldiers away just to psychologically disarm them. And you know who was there watching this whole thing go down? Niccolò Machiavelli himself. And he summed it up perfectly. Borgia's deception was so absolute, so convincing, that his enemies literally watched to their own execution, thanking him for the invitation. That, right there, is the essence of this whole game. Okay, so that's the history. Now let's bring it into the modern day and see how this 500-year-old play is still being run. This is what we call the modern Senigallia trick. And I know what you're probably thinking. Okay, cool story, but that was 500 years ago. Surely people aren't like that anymore, right? Does this kind of thing really still happen today? The answer? Oh, absolutely. Every single day. The tactics are timeless. Borgia offering a fake peace treaty, that's the coworker who swoops in to help you with your project, only to take all the credit. Borgia separating his enemies from their armies, that is the toxic partner who slowly, systematically isolates you from your friends and family, telling you they're a bad influence.
Look, the technology, the clothes, the setting, all of that changes. But the method? The method is eternal. It's always the same 3 steps. First, they disarm you with fake vulnerability and charm. Then, they distract you with offers that play to your ego or your greed. And once your guard is down and you're distracted, they destroy.
Okay, so now you know the attack. How do you defend against it? This isn't about being paranoid. Not at all. It's about being prepared. So let's go through your strategic defense protocol.
All right, rule number 1. Watch out for the vulnerability bait. Remember Borgia? How he pretended to be weak by sending his army away? If someone who's normally powerful and in control suddenly starts acting helpless or over-the-top humble, that's a huge red flag. They'll often tell you a small, fake secret just to trick you into revealing a big, real one. Rule number 2. You've got to spot the information vacuum. Think about it. A normal conversation is like a game of catch, right? Back and forth. But a conversation with a Machiavellian, that's an interrogation. They ask about your hopes, your dreams, your weaknesses. But if you really stop and think about it, you'll realize you've learned absolutely nothing real about them. They're gathering intel. Don't just hand it over. And finally, rule number 3, defend against divide and conquer. Just like Borgia split the generals from their soldiers, a modern manipulator will try to cut you off from your support system, your friends, your family, your trusted colleagues. They'll feed you gossip to create drama. And just remember this one simple rule. If they are gossiping to you, they are definitely gossiping about you. But here's the good news. For as powerful as this strategy is, it's not invincible. In fact, it has a built-in self-destruct button. Let's talk about the Machiavellians' fatal flaw. So here it is, the fatal flaw. They genuinely believe that everyone is just like them, cynical, manipulative, and only out for themselves. They literally can't wrap their head around real trust or loyalty. Borgia himself eventually lost everything and died in exile. Why? Because over the long haul, a liar's reputation always travels faster than the lie. Eventually, you burn too many people, and you just run out of pawns to play. And that right there, that's their ultimate weakness. But just knowing this strategy is only step 1. The really hard part, it's admitting that these impulses, deception, the desire for control, they can exist in all of us. The game is real. The players are everywhere. And the final, most chilling thought is this. The monster isn't some character from a history book. It's a potential that looks just like you.